One thing that struck me when I read about the Commission and your work in it was your repeated insistence on utopia, not to forget utopia, and to avoid that utopia becomes an apology. When you talked about utopia in those days, what was your utopia?
I felt that if we were to survive as a planet,
Yes.
as humanity, we had to look beyond today or tomorrow.
Yes.
We had to look to a future in which we would be able to manage
Yes.
survival.
Yes.
We had to have a vision of a future
Yes.
that was better than the past.
Yes.
And without that vision, we would do nothing.
Yes.
We would merely travel from day to day.
Yes.
If we are to reach our destination, it had to be a utopia.
Yes.
And we didn't have to apologize for that. It was essential for the future of humanity.
Yes. In those days, so what was the particular? What did you see in front of you when you thought of this utopia, this vision of the future? One big thing in those days when you worked was the third world standing up and claiming a new international economic order. Was that your vision? Was that the future you were heading for?
It had to be a vision of one world. The problems that confronted humanity now derived from the fact that we believed that we were different, that we were special. We had to do things for ourselves, make ourselves. Whereas the vision had to be of one world, in which we were all together. And that was at the heart of the new international economic order. It wasn't a collection of specific things. It was a global picture of unity. That meant that we had to change ourselves. We had to see ourselves as one. We had to put an end to otherness. It is otherness that was the problem. And unless there is an end to otherness, there will be no end to trouble.
But this unity, this was what you gave a speech. You were very active the years after Calhoun. In 1982, I have seen several lectures, talks. You were invited to give addresses, and also you wrote articles. One of these talks was at the London School of Economics, where you gave the LSE society talk.
Yeah.
And there the chair was the president of LSE, Ralph Dahrendorf. He chaired your session.
Yeah.
And he confronted you a bit to get a discussion, saying that the Brandt Commission contained 7 myths.
Yeah.
And the 7th myth, he said, that was the idea of one world.
One
And
word.
there you
That was not a myth.
no.
And that was the big problem to convince
Yes,
the North
yes,
that it was not a myth,
yes,
that
yes,
it was one world.
yes.
And that was 40 years ago.
Mhm, mhm.
It was beginning to be clear
Yes,
that we were one world, we were inseparable,
yes,
we were facing a common
yes,
future,
yes,
that in fact we were a global village.
yes, yes.
Dahrendorf didn't see that.
No, no.
Dahrendorf still saw us as many countries
Yes,
competing with each other,
yes, yes,
and competition became an ideology.
yes, yes.
And it was that ideology that had to be
That confronted the idea of one world. Who defines oneness? There is a power issue here, of course. And at the end, it was the global corporations and the globalization narrative which said this is oneness. They argued that it was oneness too. They wanted to introduce. So how do you see?
well. We began with separateness,
Mhm.
and over the centuries, mankind began to understand that we weren't so separate, and gradually
Yes.
to
Yes.
to see
Yes.
that we were one.
Yes.
The view of Earth from space
Yes.
was confirmation
Yes.
of that oneness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It should have made us humble,
Yes.
but we have resisted.
Mm-hmm.
We have fought against division.
Yes.
The value of Brandt
Mm-hmm.
was to make the vision clearer,
Yes. Yes.
more respectable,
Yes.
coming from people who had the respect of the world.
Yes. Yes.
And the Brandt report actually said it very clearly. Let me. We have a chapter
Yes.
which we call mutual interest,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and the end of that chapter, we said this, and this was the summation of the report. After 2 years of consultation together, and with many of the world's most eminent people from the various fields of international development, we are convinced that there are gains for all in a new order of international economic relations, and hope for humanity in achieving them. Both North and South have an interest in the preservation of hope. So for me, the Brandt report asserted that the vision, the image of one world, the reality of one community was so. And but we did not in the end convince the authorities. Over the 50 years since Brandt, since Cancun, the people of the world have become more convinced, particularly the young people, who of course see that the future is theirs, and there is no survival unless the world is shaped to be one world.
Yes, I would like to come back to this. This is a very important point, the ecological question and resource exhaustion and environmental pollution. But before that, to stay with this one world, at the same time as you in the Brandt Commission formulated your vision very clearly, as a utopia, of course, that you say somewhere also that this utopia might be redeemed any year. It can be very close. So it's not just something very far away. It was something where you saw the implementation, the possibility of getting it. How, at the same time, a new phenomenon. They had been working on the plan for 10 years or so. That was a multinational. And today we will say the global corporations or the platform corporations who just transcend governments and politics and make their own world. So they made a competing version of the one world. Because the globalization, that was their planetary enterprise. Were you aware of this competing enterprise, if I may call it so?
Yes, we were very aware. We could not but be aware. However, if we focus on the multinational, we would blur the vision. We would create a new dialogue, and it would be not north-south, but south multinational.
And that was
and they would like that.
That was NIO.
That was NIO. So we alluded to the multinationals, but we did not make it the center.
So you tried to circumvent it.
Yeah.
And I think this was
in the fulfillment of the vision, in reaching to utopia, we would deal with the multinationals.
Yes. That was, so to speak, in the extension. This was the only point where I see, I mean, you followed basically very closely the NIO, but for this very point.
Yeah.
Here you didn't mention it very much. Palme occasionally referred to the fact we haven't said anything about the multinationals. You said in the meeting.
No, I think it is right.
Yes.
It's a difficult decision, but I think it is right because it will have become a report about the multinational.
And that hadn't taken you further, the world further. That is. But then going back to the environment question, I think you are very, and that was at that time. I mean, you had the Club of Rome limits to power,
Yeah.
to growth, and
But it was just beginning.
just beginning, and
It was opening up.
and you
And I want to say what I said to you before,
yes,
that the world is a better place
mhm,
because of Scandinavia.
mhm, mhm,
When you reflect,
yes,
Brandt, yes,
yes,
Centrum,
yes,
but even Brandt,
yes,
Scandinavia, a Scandinavian,
yes, yes,
fact.
yes,
But Palme
yes,
and Brundtland
yes,
and Carlson
yes,
had the same vision
mhm,
of one world,
yes,
each taking it into its depth
yes, yes,
in armament,
yes,
in the ecology,
yes, yes,
in the neighborhood.
yes,
But Carlson brought it together,
yes.
our global neighborhood.
Yeah, you and Carlson, because you were co-chairing.
Yeah, I had the good fortune to be with all of them.
Yes, yes,
I became a little Scandinavian.
yes, yes. No, this is good. But the interesting point here is when the Scandinavians went global, so to speak, at this time, the 70s, I think Palme was the first one.
Yeah.
And then others followed. They were very clear about in their national politics. They had the government, the power. You couldn't just let it. The oneness needed some kind of political monitoring or political management. But you didn't say much about this dimension. The implementation of the taking down the utopia. How do you do it? Where is the political power?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't all in Brandt.
No.
But the answer to your question is in Carlson, our global neighborhood.
Government.
It spells it all out,
Yes, yes,
right down to the United Nations
yes.
Security Council.
Yes. No, I think this is my question was a bit provocative, a bit unfair, because
Yeah.
what you said was you were not silent. You said this question is important, but we leave it to a summit, a coming
That's right.
summit, and they should take over and see how we can implement it. And you had the reasoning of the UN as a kind of world forum, approach the government or whatever, and then NGOs and
That's right.
so it was I was consciously a bit provocative to see you had it, but you did in the report that there's not much about it, but you were very aware about the progress like this. But the environment, I think one of the impressive things you did. Even if it was not totally new at this time, it was a big hot theme, the environment pollution and resource exhaustion. But you took it up and integrated it. So you had this idea, the title of
Are we gonna get some coffee? We were only talking.
I know everything. Everything. Yeah, this is fascinating to talk with you about this. I mean, this is wonderful.
Black or was
Black.
Milk. Yeah.
That's good. No. You insisted on a program for survival. So you were very aware, and that was that it is a matter of survival here. And you had two legs where this survival on which this survival was dependent, and one was the north-south, the making an end to global poverty. That was the north-south issue, and the other one was the environment issue.
Absolutely.
And how would you see this problem today? I mean, the problem is still there, of course, but nobody talks about the South today. Nobody talks about the third world today. It's only environment. The whole idea of survival is only a matter of environment today. It's a climate, the crisis of the climate. But does this mean that we don't have any poverty in the world anymore, or that there is no problems in the world? Have we reached this one world? As I say, the North needs its other half, as you said.
The prescription
Yes.
proposed, but most of all the vision
Yes.
of Brandt
Yes.
is relevant today.
Yes.
It persists today.
Yes.
The world has changed a little bit.
Yes.
The South is not the South
As it was.
after all. There are countries of the South that are part of the world establishment now.
Yes. Yes.
But the reality of human difference
Yes.
is the same.
Yes. Yes.
Poverty
Yes.
is greater.
Yes.
All the fundamental human problems persist. So Brandt cannot be discarded.
But no, but this on this point with the South is not there anymore. But the poverty is there. Global poverty is there. Was Dahrendorf right on this point? Of course, his sixth myth, as he said, was that G77. There is no unity there. Was he right on this point? Then you mean?
I think he was going too far. The G77 hasn't disappeared. And I believe it has a future. Because the South has to have a voice.
Yes.
And it tries
Yes.
now. But, you know, I had a little hand in a report that we all agreed, Willy Brandt too, but mainly Julius Nyerere, the Commission on the South, what the South had to do. And central to those recommendations was the unity of the South and the organization of the South, the creation of a secretariat of the South. And the South has failed to do that, failed to fulfill. And the leadership of the South has to be blamed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So okay, this is because the idea of the commission.
Thank you.
The idea of the the idea of the commission was to more or less cut off the relations with the North and begin to develop a parallel to the North, and then in a new world, from a point of equality, establish a relation. If I remember right, that was the idea. But this never happened.
No.
And was it realistic, do you think, this idea?
I think it was the old problem of
Thank you very much.
the old problem of sovereignty,
Yes, yes,
the old problem of political power
yes,
within the state.
yes, yes, yes.
So, first of all, you preserve the state,
Yes, yes.
and to preserve the state is the start of the problem. Okay.
Yes. And this is very congruent with what you are saying about the states and the nation. So, but this today, to go back to the situation today, it's very difficult now to mobilize a southern front here to a new, because there is poverty in the north also now. I agree very much with what you say, that there is growing, the poverty in the world at the world level is bigger today than it was in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I think there are good economic historical research on this who demonstrate that this is the case, but it is also split between poverty in the south and richness in the north. So you have richness in the south and poverty in the north also, so it's more complicated. And this makes it difficult to confront this issue.
Of course. And now development has been overtaken
Yes,
by the reality of climate.
yes, yes,
While the world could not progress unless the development issue was tackled. Now, there could be no world unless the climate issue is tackled.
So the problem is displaced,
Yeah,
has become displaced.
and that is why Glasgow was, in a sense,
Yes,
Glasgow was the successor to Cancun.
it's very interesting what you say, and I think this is a very good connection to your time, to the 70s, to Cancun, to the Brandt report, because it was the same. When I read the comments on Glasgow today, it was exactly it's as if I read the comments on Cancun. Everybody said yes, it was a success, but perhaps it wasn't. We do not know so much. It was just tentative.
Absolutely.
And exactly what I say today. And some radicals say, "Oh, it was nothing here. It was nothing. It was wrong." And these voices were there also after Cancun, but the majority didn't. They were confused and didn't know, was this a success, or does it take us further, or was it a backlash? So this is the same reaction, I think, isn't it?
I do. Have some coffee.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. But do you see any possibility to coming back to a situation where we do not forget about the world poverty and say that everything is now a matter of survival, all men on deck, so to speak, we cannot do anything, we cannot afford anything more than climate, the climate. And poverty and redistribution at the global level, we cannot afford it. Is this the future?
No.
How can we get back to these two legs?
At the time of Brandt,
Yes.
we looked ahead to climate
Yes.
coming up.
Yes. Yes.
Now we're there.
Yes.
But north-south has not gone.
No. It is still there as a problem. Yes, yes. But can we tackle that problem too, or are the difficulties we are facing, the difficulties ahead, are they so big that we can only concentrate on the climate and everything else, world poverty, North-South, has to be subordinated?
No. Unless the program for climate subsumes development, as it has to. Climate is not just climate, and you leave NIU, all of that. No. It is one vision. Climate is a dimension that was not apparent.
Yes.
It gradually became apparent and supersedes everything now.
Yes.
But the same survival about which Brandt warned is the survival that Glasgow demonstrated.
Yes. But this has become the program now. I mean, it is not survival. Yes, you had a program for survival, finish the environment pollution, and control the resource exhaustion, and at the same time organize development. But now the first problem, the environment pollution, accelerated, and it has is just about to overstretch, I think, and because nothing was done to this problem, and nothing was done to the other problem, or little was done to the other problem. I think that. But you are still optimistic.
Optimistic? No. Hopeful? Yeah. I cannot succumb to hopelessness. So I believe still that there will be another Brandt, another generation that will produce,
and that will be listened to.
In Brandt, there was a very interesting few words. It's right at the end of the first chapter, and we say that the world is a unity, and we must begin to act as members of it who depend on each other. It is not enough, as one of our commissioners put it, to sit around the tables talking like characters in a Chekhov play about insoluble solutions. We have to lift ourselves above the immediate constrictions and offer the world a plan and a vision of hope, without which nothing substantial can be achieved.
Yes, I remember.
You remember?
I remember very well.
The trouble is, Glasgow was Chekhov. Blah, blah, blah.
Chess games. Sitting around the table, but that is. Who was remember? Who was the commissioner? Who said it? Do you remember? Was it you? Was it you?
I think it was.
That's good. That's good. I saw.